how do I feel looking back on 25 years? I'm incredibly proud that we are still here as such a vibrant organisation.
We are a bunch of guys who literally learn the game by watching it on YouTube. And they get hit, and they're like, I wasn't ready for that.
The sense of camaraderie and seeing that continue off the field.
Whereas in the first few years, it was kind of like, this could fall apart tomorrow.
All is in readiness here. The stars are out. The big stage is here. The red carpet is rolled out.
Looking forward to this, as we like to say, a humdinger.
And the question is, can you teach old dogs old tricks? This is a rematch of last year's grand final between the two sides.
They made the grand final last year, now a rematch. It was a slugfest.
Every single player on that team is a weapon.
I'll tell you what, if that doesn't make the hair stand up on the back of your neck, you might want to check your pulse.
So, hang on to a partner. This is going to get rough and ready. The two best sides here at the Nationals, the dream rising to the top in Prince fashion. And these boys are going to get it on. Smash mouth in the middle. And a fantastic mark in front by the number 12.
For the air, Coleman went for it. Look out, here comes trouble.
Sportscast, crash boom opera out of the middle. Everyone goes down and gets funky.
Saying, calm it down. I got this. Let's take some good marks. Let's play some clean footy. That's where we shine.
The umpire says, I may need to shovel the scratch off the ground. Osiris says, give me that ball. And she took it away.
He tosses it to the heavens and the floor and says, go after it, my daughters, and play footy.
Inexperienced, a little bit probably nervous and over anxious. You've got to keep it plugging away. It'll come.
And oh, big tackle put in there, but it was high, just a little high around the shoulders.
Taken by the 24 for Minnesota. Freeman in the score is the number 23. He's taken, played on, shoots and scores! That is, we have some new kids on the block with regards to USAFL Nationals.
I love the fact that all these Americans love this sport.
And welcome back to the Silver Lake Sports Complex, Norco, California. Just a short drop punt from Ontario for the 2022 United States Australian Football League National Championships and the standalone semi-final in Women's Division 1 between Seattle and San Francisco for the right to take on Minnesota in the grand final. I happen to have here a legend of the USAFL women's footy scene. She is now at the Wasatch Seagulls. Hello to Lizzie Sawyer.
Thank you for having me, Peter. The Wargulls, actually, was founded by Danny Kauser in 2019, actually. So we are in our second competing season, and it's good to be out here.
Indeed, you brought, if I'm correct, 3 players to the tournament this year.
We brought 3 women, yep, and we brought 5 men. Regionals, we had 9 men with us, so we're definitely growing for our sophomore season.
And how far away is it? Because I don't think it's too far for Wasatch to get to Seattle for where the Western Regionals will be held next year.
No, the flight is really quick. We made that flight this year to go play. The women played with Seattle in the Canadian Women's Nationals.
Yeah.
The flight itself was only about an hour and 15 minutes.
So that's a very short hop. Barely enough for service on the plane.
Exactly.
Now, of course, we should mention that you must be a little bit of you proud. One of your former teams, of course, is the Minnesota Freeze. They have finally got through to the grand final.
Yes, it makes my heart so happy to see them just killing it this weekend. They have a lot of rookies this year, but they're very lucky to have rookies that have played together in other sports.
The amazing thing is, like you're just saying now with rookies and how they've got there with that, they didn't actually play a game this year because they didn't have any opponents come to them. And, of course, we're all bouncing back from the COVID years. But next year, the opportunity they have to play more games, they've already told me through Ray Hale that they're going to play up in Calgary in a tournament next year. And, of course, they've got a short drive away, Kansas City, for the Central and Eastern Super Regional.
Yes, so I've actually discussed with them as well traveling to Calgary, so they may be bringing us along. The Wargles were kind of that little extra add-on, but yeah, Minnesota's had a resurgence this year, and it's fantastic to see.
It sounds like everyone wants to go to Calgary. There's kind of half an interest from Seattle. Speaking to Lawrence Kuznechny, she goes, well, we think we might want to bring the Portland ladies along. So all of a sudden, this Calgary thing seems to be growing by the more people I talk to.
Absolutely. It comes down to being able to play more games.
Exactly, which everybody wants. And we're about to get underway here in this Women's Division 1 semi-final for the right to take on Minnesota in the grand final at 3 o'clock on Cooper's Field. Peter Holden and Lizzie Sawyer with you as we're away. Ball jammed in the middle of the ground. Trying to come in and lay the tackle was Fury for San Francisco. Ball dribbled along the ground. Going in to pick it up is Dickinson. Went through her legs, couldn't control it. Trying to get in there and lay a tackle, Elise Gallagher. Ball squeezed out momentarily. Quick-fired hand pass was courtesy of that occasion of Moy Moy. Long kick forward. One bounce, two bounces. Inside 40 there for San Francisco. Very quick hands. That's Silvio. Now goes long for goal. Lolani, has she put it through? It's away to the right-hand side. Minor score for Lolani. Silvio. 1 behind San Francisco, no score Seattle. 1 San Francisco, 0 Seattle. That is going to be a concern today for Seattle, Lizzie Sawyer. They don't want a fast-running San Francisco side.
No, absolutely. These two teams have a lot of similarities, but where they differ, it's pretty major, Peter.
And that's the attacking availability and just the speed that San Francisco have, which is quite frightening. But to be fair, if they meet Minnesota in the grand final, Minnesota do have some speedsters there as well. As the ball is now out in the half-forward flank, half-back flank, as it's taken by Tegan Hamilton, who's coughed up the football. Opportunity now again for the Iron Maidens to do something with it. Just spinning around the back area, gave off the hand pass. Silvio, who's been fantastic in this San Francisco outfit, kicks it towards the pocket. The ball will go over the boundary line and out of bounds. If you're setting up the defence here, Lizzie, for Seattle, what do you do? How do you combat it when the ball is coming in this quick?
Yeah, absolutely, Peter. So with this situation, what Seattle's got to be looking to do is stay physical and stay on their man tight. They've got to stay to their woman very, very tight and keep that physicality coming.
Elise Gallagher kicks the ball towards near the boundary line. Jess Blecker was going there as well, but it manages to stay in for the Seattle Grizzlies. Anderson nearly got collar. She tried to get a kick away. Now with Amelia Carr, who kicks up the line. Katie Clack came flying from behind. Threw a fist in there. Anderson. Clatt has got the football as well. Ball got squeezed out. They're having to go backwards here, the Iron Maidens. Kicking around the corner. Coleraine goes up the line and a good mark taken. This one swallowed by Francesca Mania. Mania with the football. Outside 40. Kicks it long. Silvio!
It's interesting to see how much more physical in these first couple of minutes San Francisco's already playing in comparison to yesterday.
Alani Silvio is going to be on a tighter than 45-degree angle, kicking from approximately 19.5 metres out from goal. Silvio. Now, they awarded a 25-metre penalty. What's going on here?
It looks to be.
Well, if that was a 25-metre penalty, in all essence, I think it was 4.75 metres. He wasn't, they haven't brought it back exactly a long way. Yeah, that was, he just readjusted the mark. Very curious. 45-degree angle now for Silvio. Close to range and will kick a goal. So 1-1-7 San Francisco, Seattle yet to score. San Francisco 7, Seattle 0.
I love to see this physicality and the excitement from both sides, Peter. They're looking fresh today, which, you know, coming into day 2 can be really hard to look that way as a team.
So we have the ball coming back, and we'll have another ball up, and we'll try and reset things again. The one thing that we've been talking about with the San Francisco side yesterday, and like we just had Mania get the ball then, who said there was a number of players who've been, you know, quality teammates over the years that weren't even getting their hands on the ball. And that wasn't a bad thing. It wasn't that they were quiet. They just had other players like Vicky Powell yesterday that was stepping up. New players on the side where you go, oh, my God, they're just regenerating new players. They're going to be hard to stop for years to come.
Absolutely. You look at their bench right now. I mean, they've got plenty on the bench. 5, 6. They've got fresh legs to spare.
I mean, I look at, I can see down there Panda Nguyen, who, has been a name well known for a couple of years. And, they can bring her on at any time as a luxury.
Yes. Yesterday, they actually sat them for a little bit just to give them a rest for today.
As the ball is on the outer side of the ground. And when you consider other names, as we said, that have retired since then, Carly Smolak, Julie Marks, Bevan English, just the quality of talent has gone through this program.
What I love about the Iron Maidens is that they stay connected even when they leave the sport itself. As a player, they come into different capacities. They really get around the sport and the team.
As the ball is now at the halfback flank here for the Iron Maidens. Seattle looking for a way to try and keep it trapped in there so they can attack. Elise Gallagher pushes up the ground and takes a mark, and she finds herself 55 metres out from defensive goal on the tournament central side of the ground. Kicks it long and, just had it there, or the umpire called the early mark and award it. I think he did, or a push in the back either way. And it's going the way of number 38, and that is Rachel Blum for the Seattle Grizzlies. Blum now kicks up the line. Good mark taken. And I think just backing back there, if I'm correct, might be Anderson with the footy. Now she'll go towards the half-forward flank in front of the Watch AFL scoreboard. Few players get bowled over, and the umpire says, it's all fair, it's over and out, we'll call for a throw-in. The good news, I guess, good news and bad news for Seattle. The good news is they're getting someone back from Australia. I believe that Valerie Barber-Axthelm will be coming back, I think, in March next year.
Yes, after having a baby.
Indeed, and playing and coaching footy as well.
Yes.
In Australia. So she'll be coming back with plenty of experience. The bad news is they're actually losing a player to Australia. Amelia Carr is going to move over for a while.
Yes, and it's a good move for her. It's a good opportunity to really fine-tune her skills. But having played alongside Amelia, she's already such a strong player.
As the ball is now in the middle of the ground. Foot race on here. You speak of Amelia Carr, and here she is now. She was locked into that foot race there with Blecker as the ball goes just inside the 40-metre arc for the San Francisco Iron Maidens. Good tackle laid on, but the kick was already away towards the pocket. Flattening tackle laid on there as Mackenzie watches on. Can't get the football out. Umpire blows the whistle. Watching on there was Zimmerman, and the umpire will take the football back. Yeah, the Carr's game plan, we saw her in the game earlier this morning against Denver playing on the ball. Now they've done the traditional role of her, and they've elected to put Carr in the back line like she has in tournaments past.
You know you've got an asset on your team when you can kind of move them anywhere, Peter.
Silvio, and now with the resulting free kick. Silvio, Richie from the LA Dragons program, spent last year with the Denver Bulldogs, now playing for the San Francisco Iron Maidens. Finds herself the player on the mark doing
the hip shift.
Thank you for describing it, because I'm thinking, that or it's a Wiggles concert, I guess. But Silvio has kicked 2 goals this game and is responsible for 12 of the 13 points that San Francisco has so far. 2-1-13 San Francisco, Seattle 0. That's San Francisco 13, Seattle 0 in this semi-final. Silvio, dare I say it, because she's been put into this unit that moves the ball so much faster and cleaner, looks the best that I've seen her at these Nationals tournaments.
Yes, and I've played alongside of her on the Liberty over in Australia, and Leilani has really come into her own over the years, but she's always been such an asset. Yeah. She comes from many different sports backgrounds, and I think that makes a huge difference for her.
And the ball now goes long out towards the half-back flank position on the tournament central side of the ground. Gordine trying to run in there. Picked up by Mackenzie. Mackenzie again to Silvio. Once again, Silvio nearly had the helmet ripped off her head. Umpire missed that play on. Zimmerman tries to go in for a tackle. And pass came backwards. Now again with Mackenzie. Swung around on the right boot. Goes inside 50. Mark taken. And backing back there, I think that might be Savannah Green.
Beautiful mark.
Swallowed it up at about 35 metres out from goal. Slight angle. Electing to go for distance. They've got Brett Brower in the goal square, which is to watch for. No lead offered as yet. She's going to take her time and go for distance. Green with the approach. Puts boot to ball now, 36 metres out from goal. Brower is there on the goal square, bounces her way, but she dribbles it to the right-hand side as she was being tackled. The ball will go over the boundary line and at a bounce. We're talking about Sylvia. She's actually one of those players, again, because she's gotten better with the San Francisco Iron Maids. It would be interesting to see if she did make the move to Australia on a short-term basis, how she would go in the competitions over there.
Yes, and she actually is dating an Australian, so it would be interesting to see if they would maybe go out to spend some time with his family as well. I know they've come out to visit them.
As the kick now from full back has been marked right on the paint, 40 metres out from defensive goal. Chance for the Grizzlies to move the ball up the ground. Just went slipping through the hands there of Moy, who couldn't hang on to it. But Katie Cladd, all class, she's spent plenty of time in Australia, about 2.5 years with Melbourne University in the VFLW. And she spots up the target in Brett Brower, who, of course, as you would know, being on that tour in 2017, she was with the USA Freedom, was named in the All-World team.
Yes, and I was saying yesterday that the nickname she was given was the Thoroughbred Pony. Such skill.
Brett Brower comes in. Puts it on the right boot. Does it have the distance? It does! And they move out to 3-1-19 to no score. That's 3-1-19 to no score. 19-0, San Francisco leading Seattle. And I think it's just the one thing when you look at Seattle versus the other side. It's the purpose, it's the intent that not only they run with, but how they kick the ball.
Yeah, absolutely. You look at Seattle a few years ago when they were in that contingency for the grand final. They were physical, but they have a passion that other clubs maybe haven't tapped into yet. So we'll see how they can harness that.
Ball now in dispute in the middle of the ground, and coming out to try and meet it there is Carr, as Blecker went with her. Carr now has kicked, only gained about 10 metres, slapped away there by Moy. Ball between centre and centre half forward here for the San Francisco Iron Maidens. Umpire says dangerous kick in there, and it's going the way of the Iron Maidens, and it ends up in the hands of Nicole McKenzie. Very underrated. McKenzie has just been a consistently good player for San Francisco. But, probably be one of the players that we never really talk about that much.
Yeah, I mean, you've seen several medals around her neck at the end of tournaments and some recognition for best on grounds. Nicole has been a staple for San Francisco for years.
Kicks the ball long, just trying to clean up there in defence is Trujillo, who now moves it long, and only for it to be intercepted there by Lenore Gallard. Gallard was also one of the other great players for San Francisco in their game yesterday against New York, so it's good to see other names coming through for the Iron Maidens. But Godin marks the football deep in defence there for Seattle.
And you look at that kick, I mean, all of these ladies really, you look at 2010 when I first started Nationals to now, the kicks have doubled, if not tripled in distance on average.
And that is Silvio, who now cops it up. Dickinson tried to get a hurry kick away. And the umpire blows the whistle from a distance and says there's a trip. The one tough thing for Seattle, as much as they've built up their numbers again, have taken their biggest squad. There is a lot of rookies in their team, and they're missing a couple of players I know that have gone to Denver. Alison Leonard has been coaching there. Marissa Poorboy is another. As we said, Valerie Barber-Axthelm currently at the moment in Australia. Tegan Hamilton has actually made her comeback for this tournament. But it is hard when you do. It might only be 3 players, but experienced players.
Yes, absolutely. You need that almost captainship or that voice, the commander or the conductor in the field.
Mark being taken here by Jess Blecker, or her nickname, Portland's Baby Goat. She gets on the right boot, wants to go inside 40 with the kick. Was trying to find the height there of Coleraine, but she couldn't quite hang on to the football. Bunch of players come in. Jess Blecker holding her head there for a moment, and I think Coleraine may have just jammed her finger in that contest.
One of the things that is great to mention about that Seattle side is that they've really gained a lot of height this year.
Indeed, and then the advantage of that is because in particularly their first tournament, they had to throw April Lewis in the ruck, who was a little bit of an undersized ruck, and Lewis probably plays better at that centre half forward position, and that's where they've been able to move her now. And that's, one of those things. If you're the only tall player in a side, you're almost forced to sacrifice your game a bit, but when you have others with you, they can move you around like a chess piece.
Yes, it makes a big difference. And we should mention that April actually had knee surgery this year, and she's come back from it just in time to play at Nationals.
And her honeymoon as well.
Yes, yes, she did just recently get married.
As the ball is inside 40 as we speak, again they're attacking the San Francisco Iron Maidens. Being wrapped up here was Stephanie Peterson of the Seattle Grizzlies. Umpire says a sling tackle in there, and there will be a resulting free kick. And let's see which way he's pointing. He's pointing to Peterson, who just took a wander there. We'll go back and reset things 35 metres out from her defensive goal. Hamilton calling for it short if she wants to go in that direction. Does. Just a little bit shorter still, though, managing to find Liz Trujillo. And she has the football, arguing that there's a player within the 5-metre area, so she should get a 25. Umpire ignores that as it goes long. Looking for Hewitt, just bounced off of her chest. Yes, Hewitt, one of those tools that have come into the side for Seattle, being able to take that pressure off in the middle of the ground, and very mobile as well.
Yes, absolutely. Height is a fantastic thing for this sport, but if you're not mobile, if you can't get around with that footy, it's not very useful.
Going in there, Blecker allows her teammate in Colorado to get her, who had to duck a tackle, then almost kicked the ball in the face of Dickinson, who was lying on the ground there. Ball has just now popped into a heavy traffic jam on the centre-wing position. Katie Klatt was waiting out the back for the football. Klatt swung around on the right boot, very close towards the boundary line, will come off hands and will go over and out, being seen over on that occasion by Francesca Mania.
And it looks like number 9 for Seattle has come off with an injury.
Nicole McKenzie. Yeah, she's taken the glove off. That's a big indication. Gloves off. As we now have the football coming off the half-back line for the Seattle Grizzlies, but only as far as Katie Klatt of the Iron Maidens. Klatt now moves the football inside 50. Just got smacked around. Oh, Brett Brower got the kind bounce. Goes for an open goal and will kick it through.
Takes it.
Brett Brower sends it out to a 25-point margin. 4-1-25. San Francisco, no score Seattle. 25 San Francisco, no score Seattle. As I was mentioning to, I think it might have been Mackenzie Adamo, I was mentioning to someone earlier today, it'd be interesting to see how San Francisco as a club goes against other non-Australian clubs. We know we get to see that happen in Europe. They have what they call the AFL, I think they call it the AFL European Champions League, which they have a one-weekend tournament, or in fact one-day tournament in Amsterdam, where it's a shorter format, 2 10-minute halves on a soccer field, so it's almost 9-a-side, where those teams get to battle against each other for the best team in Europe. Usually it's the Irish that win. But it'll be interesting to see how San Francisco would go against those teams.
Yeah, Peter, I got the privilege to play alongside of them at regionals, and they are just such a well-oiled machine. Even if things break down a little bit, they've got backup plans.
Oh, yeah, here's Jess Blecker, who'll just casually stroll forward and take a mark.
That perfect backup plan.
She'll be lining up for goal from around about 38 metres out, directly in front. Slight breeze is picked up, going to the right-hand side here on field 4. That's towards the freeway end at the Silver Lake Sports Complex, Norco, California. In comes Blecker. Gives it a ride. It is away to the left-hand side. Is there a mark back there? The umpire said no, it's come off hands. Play on. Crash of bodies. Gordine tried to muscle it through for a point, and the goal umpire will suggest that it is so. So on the Watch AFL scoreboard, 4-1-26 for San Francisco, no score for Seattle. 26 San Francisco, 0 for Seattle. As we wait for the ball to come back into play, there's the long kick out from Trujillo. Was looking in the car direction, didn't quite hit her. Trying to throw a hand in there, Hamilton, to spoil the football. Sevilla is waiting for it on the outside. Receiving it there, Moy. Gave it across to Blecker. Blecker trying to put it like a hot knife through butter. Gained about 40 metres, but couldn't find Brower, and Trujillo will come out of defence. The ball got smacked away and will go over the boundary line and out of bounds, and they will call for a throw-in. We should mention, I think Seattle, out of the national tournaments, the 5 in a row that San Francisco won, I think Seattle was the closest side to knocking them off, in which they had a 2-0 match in a pool game, if I'm correct, back in Sarasota, Florida in 2019.
Yes, that was a very, very close game. I think everybody on the sidelines was sweating for both sides.
As we have the football back now with a player who got immediately wrapped up in Rachel Odell, and the umpire said there's a bit of kicking in danger going on there, so it will be a free kick going the way of the Seattle Grizzlies, and ends up with Jennifer Anderson.
This will be great, Peter, for Seattle's forward line to get a little bit of action.
And Hewitt comes in and takes the mark. Hewitt looking around for some options. Now delivers up the line. Amelia Carr from behind puts the fist in there at the crucial moment. Few bodies go down in the process, including Anderson. Ball now in the Moy direction. She can't pick up the football. It's going to be Stacks on the pill, and the umpire will call for a ball up. One thing I'm interested to see that will happen in the after party afterwards. We see with the magnets on the board down there, Julia Mama Marks for the San Francisco Iron Maidens. Last time a tournament was held in California, the after party was at Tin Roof in San Diego, and she made a guest appearance on stage to sing Prince's Kiss. I wonder if the same thing with a stage will happen tonight.
Maybe we'll get, Barbie Girl or some new variety.
There we are. Pass around the hat to see if we can get Julia Mama Marks to do backwards Barbie Girl. Oh, dear. The shenanigans that may happen afterwards on a Sunday night at the after party at the Nationals. Jess Blicker now has the football in the half-forward flank position. She'll go long towards the forward pocket. Just came off hands there of Trujillo, who couldn't quite swallow it up. She now has to go run. Bo wanted to do the shepherding work. She does the dangerous play going across the face of goal, but now running onto the end of it there is Gillard. Gillard had to go back after losing it. Oh, shrugged off 2 tackles. And then from about 40 metres out, bombs for the goal square. How did it go? I think it got there. It did!
It did.
5-2, San Francisco. No score, Seattle. 32, San Francisco. No score, Seattle. They're kicking them from everywhere.
Talk about putting your body on the line, though, Peter. You look at that Seattle back line, and they were laying out to try to stop that ball.
As the hooter sounds, and dare we say, compared to the other scores we're seeing today, this is not full time. This is just half time.
Yeah, absolutely. It's curious I feel curious about what the Seattle side is going to say in that huddle. How are they going to regroup? What are they going to change? What's going to shift? And will they stay in the game?
Do you just, in my opinion, roll the dice? I mean, you're a long way down to 5-2, 32-0. Do you just tell your backs, right, everyone line up around centre half back, don't line up in deep defence. We're all just pushing up because, if the floodgates are going to open, the floodgates are going to open. We might as well just try everything we can to try and swarm the ball in the middle of the ground to begin the half to see if there's any glimmer of hope.
Right, and do you put somebody like April Lewis in that back line as an additional float defender?
Well, the question is, should that have been done earlier? Should that have been maybe her going to Brett Brower to try and take Brower out of the action? And then to free up your defender that was on Brower to maybe try and cover Silvio or Blecker. Because, I don't know, I've got that feeling that move is gone, that spare in defence, because at the moment defence is not the matter, it's offence for Seattle.
Absolutely, but you look at how fatigued their defense looks at this point as they're huddling up. I mean, they are so red in the face. They're the first ones to the water bottle. You want to hope that they're going to give them a little bit of reprieve, maybe a switch up.
Well, this almost sounds a bit like junior football, under 10s and under 12s. Do you do the old flip positions? Forwards, you're now defenders because, you haven't gone anywhere near the ball, so you're fresh. And defenders go down the forward line and for, I guess, a little bit of a rest and hoping that who were the forwards now in defence can try and push the ball up the ground.
Yes, how do you leverage that entire third of the field that's essentially fresh legs?
Well, yeah, exactly. You've got to try and, as some would say, and again, perhaps it maybe should have happened earlier in the first half, is that I know some sides like to run. If one side of the field's dominant, they like to run the other side through the middle at some stage, whether it be the forwards, if your side's being smashed, to try and get their hands on the ball for a bit of confidence. And again, on the opposite side, if you're the coaching staff for the San Francisco Iron Maidens, your defenders have hardly touched the ball. And, of course, you've got the important game coming up next. By all means, it looks like they're going to get through to the grand final. Do you tell your defenders, okay, we're going to give you 5 or 10 minutes on the ball just to get your hands on it, just to be warmed up, just to be ready for the game at 3 o'clock?
Yes, absolutely. You look at some of their defenders who have kind of just been standing around. You want them to get some movement in so that they don't get too stiff.
Yeah. That's a very good point. Thanks to Cooper's Tasmanian and Watch AFL. You're listening to the United States Australian Football League National Championships from Norco, California. Just a short drop punt from Ontario. It's 5-2-32 for the San Francisco Iron Maidens. Seattle Grizzlies no score. We'll take a short break, and when we return, we'll have the second half for you in the Women's Division 1 semi-final. Welcome back to the Silver Lake Sports Complex in Norco, California. Just a short drop punt from Ontario for the 2022 United States Australian Football League National Championships. This is the Women's Division 1 semi-final. Peter Holden and Lizzie Sawyer with you. And on the Watch AFL scoreboard, it is San Francisco 5-2-32, leading the Seattle Grizzlies no score as we get ready to begin the second half here. Lizzie, if you were the Seattle coach, what would have been your words of wisdom at halftime?
Well, Peter, I would have first switched out a little bit of fresh blood, rearranged on the field a little bit. But the thing that I always go back to is continue to put your body on the line for your teammates. Continue to go hard to the ball and press. Never give up, and never hang your head.
We have the football now in the middle of the ground as they wait for it to pop out to Fury. Fury now put on the left boot, and that's a long, high kick going towards the half-forward flank and the 40-metre arc. Gordine, who's been a defender for quite a number of years at Seattle, solid defender, tried to get the hurry kick away. She has to go back and get it again. Just managed to get a little toe poker forward. Ball got knocked out. Umpire says it's not a throw. You can play on. All wrapped up here again, Fury, and the umpire says, I'll take the football back and call for a ball up. That's Jennifer Anderson, who's been having a good tournament so far, laying the tackle. Amelia Carr's got to go on the ruck here against Panda Nguyen. Carr wins it down. Hewitt, now out to Elise Gallagher. Gallagher got dumped by Munn afterwards. Gallagher, kick goes to the 40-metre arc. Going left, going right here. Was the player in Griffin, pardon me, it wasn't Griffin, it was Coleraine, who went towards the hot spot, 15 metres out from goal. Deep in defence now as the Grizzlies try to come out through Peterson. And the ball will be squeezed over the boundary line and out of bounds. Unfortunately for Seattle, the familiar story that it's in San Francisco's forward half.
Absolutely. You were talking about Nicole Fury earlier. It's interesting to look at how many players San Francisco currently has that have either previously or currently played Gaelic, Nicole being one of them.
Ball goes over the boundary line and out of bounds. Yeah, there's two clubs that stick in my mind that do play against Gaelic sides and has helped their game. And obviously they've both got 11 national championships between them. San Francisco and also Denver's known for playing a bit of Gaelic football.
Yes, absolutely. I believe they won Gaelic Nationals this year, Denver.
Well, just to put the fear of everyone into it, but of course Denver didn't quite make it through to this stage of the finals. They are playing in a consolation match against New York on one of the other fields. As the umpire says it's holding the football, here's Anderson, and it's a free kick going the way of Maglione for the San Francisco Iron Maidens. She is on the Tournament Central side wing. Margaret Leone now goes up the line, and a mark taken by Nicole McKenzie. You can tell by that white glove as she takes the mark. She's about 50 metres out from goal. Gets the hurry up and will go inside 40. Go with the hands of Silvio. Try to dish out the hand pass to Blecker, but found McKenzie instead. Now she tries to put it into the path of Doherty. Lost control of the football, still in the half-forward flank. Blecker sees the ball go over the boundary line and out of bounds.
It's good to point out that with Leilani, they're putting players, Seattle is putting players on her that are several inches taller than her, and she's still either making those marks or almost making those marks, getting her hands on it. For a short player, that's something big.
As Silvio, who you've just mentioned, kicked it towards the top of the goal square. There's a fresh air kick at goal that didn't quite work out. Umpire says there's a push in the back, and this will be a free kick San Francisco's way, directly in front of goal from about 25 metres out. Kicking towards the left-hand screen, the Hamner Avenue end.
It'll be interesting to see. I believe Kaylee either took a break or came in only recently, but she's a very strong player already.
Callie Martin directly in front as we see the wiggling hips on the mark happen again from Gordin. Martin starts it out right and will stay out right for a minor score. 5-3-33, leading no score on the Watch AFL scoreboard. That's 33 San Francisco, 0 for Seattle.
You wonder how much of a wall or a barrier San Francisco is going to create at this point. It looks like they've all pressed up. There's nobody in their forward, or in their, back 50.
As the umpire blows the whistle and says, let's get the play moving again. They will through Anderson. Anderson goes out wide towards the Tournament Central wing. Umpire's blown the whistle here and indicated for in the back. And it's going the way of Jess Blecker, who of course played in the Collingwood VFLW Premiership squad. Didn't play in the grand final itself, but was part of that team that made it through to the 2019 VFLW grand final in Australia. And when they beat the Western Bulldogs. An honour for her to be part of such a quality team under the coaching of one of the legends of women's Australian rules football, being Penny Keeler-Reid.
It looks like San Francisco has been paid a couple of in-the-backs in a row. These are little mistakes that Seattle can't quite afford to be making at this point.
Okay, now with Amelia Carr, who'll kick the football long, and only for it to be intercepted. So the Iron Maidens will send it back from whence it came, looking for a target, but found Bow instead as Fury was trying to get there. going to give you a frightening stat in a moment. The current score, and remember, this is San Francisco's third game of the tournament. San Francisco at the moment have outscored their opponents so far this national championships 143-0.
Oh, it's amazing to see, but you also want to see a little bit of contest against them.
They have the opportunity, should the rest of this game play out, and we still have, by my estimations, a good 10 minutes to go, plus a grand final. They have the opportunity, and I think could be the first team to ever do it in the national championships, to go through and not concede a single point.
You know, again, it's very exciting for them, and I'm sure that they would love that. But as a fan of the sport, you want to see somebody contest them. You want to see somebody make them have to work a little bit harder to earn it.
I think Griffin might have taken the mark there, receiving it from Amelia Carr, the kick. And now here's the long pass up the line, only for it to be intercepted. Margaret Leone takes it. Because it's amazing when you think about it. They are going for their 6th championship in a row, the San Francisco Iron Maidens. And you'd normally expect in that situation, as the mark is taken here by Fury, and now goes across to McKenzie. McKenzie takes the mark and wants to get away from Hamilton. McKenzie goes for a run and goes for a long kick inside 40. Here's a good one-on-one contest. Brower's going to get to it first. Doesn't quite sit for her, though. And finds a Grizzlies defender instead, who'll kick around the corner. Almost bring down rain with that kicker. Silvio tried to swing around a punch towards the football. Trujillo is near the pill as well. Brower close towards the boundary line. Just manages to stay in somehow. She kicks around the corner. That won't be 15, so you've got to play on. Now towards the goal square. Foot race is going to be on here. Dickinson desperately charging after the football with Day. Day holding it up. Panda Nguyen as well comes crashing in. And Dickinson will try and clear the football here for the for the Seattle Grizzlies. The San Francisco Iron Maidens will send it back from whence it came. Bo had to stand tall and take a mark. As I was saying earlier, with a team that's won 6 in a row, you normally expect, okay, the side is older, and all of a sudden they might just struggle to get over the line for that 6th championship if they get there. The frightening thing is this team's getting better.
Absolutely. And they're peppering in their rookies at a rate at which they are growing with the club and the team itself, instead of a dump of rookies where you've got to do that learning phase.
And that's probably the strong part of the club and, of course, the Golden Gate Australian Football League, when you also count the men's in there, as Amelia Carr kicks around the corner and it goes out of bounds. We do see in a number of clubs where one player might be the start of a successful era, and when they leave or retire, it kind of everything drops off. Whereas we said, we've seen Smolak on the boundary, Marks, Millie Bruce is injured and out. You know, the players that do stop continuing playing for San Francisco, like you said, staying involved in the program, allowing new leaders to emerge to keep the program going for the next 3, 4, 5 years.
I mean, that community base is really what makes the difference. And I have talked to them about their recruiting, and that's actually a part of their recruiting plan, is that their club is so strong and stays so connected for so long that it helps them to recruit new players.
April Munn pumps it long for the Seattle Grizzlies towards the true centre half forward position. The ball went through the legs there of Dawes, who couldn't quite hold on to it. Now the ball is squeezed out the side by Gilbrath. Now the ball finds itself in defence. Katie Clatter's got to put on the afterburners and run away from several players. Does she run more than 15? She does. She does. And that means it's a free kick to Seattle. 30 metres out from goal, might be in range, and maybe the team to finally score points against the Iron Maidens.
Yes, and it looks like one of their brand new rookies is taking the kick, Peter.
Gretchen Gilbreth is going to have it from 35 metres out, so let's see what her kick is. The Iron Maidens now, they know they'll be going through to the grand final, but they've got that pride of being able to keep their opponents blank on the scoreboard. Gilbreth. 2 steps of the kick. Are they going to keep it out? Klatt went through her hands.
You know, Gretchen comes from a rugby background, this year being her first year. She actually started back at the end of August or the beginning of September.
As the ball is next to the post, did it go out? Did it score? I look towards the goal umpire. Eyes on here, field umpire, goal umpire chatting. They're making the decision. And it is in doubt still. Might be a throw-in according to the conversation still ongoing. If the ball was out, throw-in is the call. So at the moment, the perfect record still remains intact, Lizzie Sawyer.
As a Seattle side, you've got to imagine that that's a little bit heartbreaking. They probably want to, even if it's a minor score, to get something on the scoreboard has got to be just the goal at this point.
Bow got brought to ground. They cry ball, not paid. Fury tried to come through, shoveled out the hand pass. Umpire says in the back, which way? Seattle's way. And guess who it's in the hands of? Amelia Carr. This will be a score.
Absolutely, Peter. It's just a matter of if it is true.
Amelia Carr will be kicking from 25 metres out. She has got the distance in her. It's just a question of accuracy. Amelia Carr goes and kicks a point. But the perfect record has now disappeared for San Francisco.
Not only that, Peter, this gives Seattle the opportunity to set up that wall and really pepper it back in. This is the area of the field that you have to remind yourself is completely fresh.
33-1, San Francisco leading Seattle. And the umpire has pinned the Seattle player for going over the mark, so that means it is a 50-metre penalty. Now, to explain what happens in Australian rules football, when a player has a kick out from full back and the player on the mark goes over the mark, the 50-metre penalty is actually longer than the traditional 50. They take you to the back of the centre square. And if the 50-metre penalty happened again, then it'll take you to the top of the next centre square. So the rule is slightly different when it comes to kick-ins. Now we find ourselves with April Munn having the ball at her feet for Seattle. Gets the hand pass across to Bow. Bow, one-step kick, going long, inside 40. Awkward bouncing ball, numbers back there for the Iron Maidens. And that's a little dribble kick along the ground, I think, from Ania. Didn't go too far. Picked off here by Odell. Odell couldn't quite make contact with her teammate. Ball still on the ground. Who wants to try and extract a clean ball? Coming away with it is Vicky Powell. Powell. It's a powerful car. Now delivers long towards the centre half back position. Looking for Moi Moi. Got it back off the bounce. Moi Moi kicks it long in towards the centre of the ground. Pan and Yuen came out with Gordine. Gordine goes chasing after it and gave a little bit of shepherding work, allowing Dickinson, who got a fair old shove in the back. Umpire said, well, whatever, play on. And that's what's happened is the Iron Maidens now have it as Hewitt comes in to try and lay a tackle. Here's the kick up the line in front of the umpire's tent on the outer side of the ground. Savio tried to get a hand pass to Nguyen. Missed her target, though. Still got plenty of numbers to work with here as Amelia Carr tried to lay the tackle. And it ended up miscuing the kick and helping out her teammate Odell, who took a mark.
If you're that Seattle side right now, Peter, you've got to be a little disheartened having had the ball down in your forward 50 for so long and then losing it.
Going in there and hitting the ground as Anderson wants to get it across to Munn. Munn takes on two players and beats them both. Couldn't quite connect the hand pass, though. Munn will come in and lay another tackle, rugby style. And the umpire will come in and call for a ball up. Player on the bottom of that deck was Rachel Odell, as the umpire takes the football back from Claire Coleraine. We'll throw the football up in the air and away we go again. Ruckwork being taken by Margaret Leone. And just to think, Margaret Leone used to be the ruck for San Francisco Iron Maidens, and they can just feel free to put her anywhere now because they've got so much talent.
That's exactly it. Talent and talls. They have that freedom with their height on the team to move them wherever down the spine that they need them.
Savannah Green now goes across to Jess Blecker. Blecker goes in towards the middle of the ground, was looking for Gallagher, outmarked on that occasion. And taking away the football there is Rachel Blum. Blum moved it out towards the wing position on the tournament central side of the ground. Now the kick sets up something here at the centre half forward position. Oh, getting back there is Katie Klatt for the Iron Maidens. Klatt will now look in the Blecker direction and take a mark. VFLW player to VFLW player. Blecker now with the football. Gets on the right boot. Goes long and up the line. Numbers there with the Seattle Grizzlies that they can talk and work it out. Hand pass came out there from Trujillo. Couldn't find a target though. Bow jumps in there. She can't get the football out. Crunched is Hewitt. Hand pass going backwards. Now the opportunity is here with Powell. And she'll send it towards the wing position, tournament central side of the ground, and a mark for the Grizzlies.
You know, Peter, as you look at both of these sides, and keeping in mind that this is the women's competition, there are things that are different. Both of these teams have women who have come back from babies recently, Rachel Blum being one of them for Seattle Grizzlies.
I wonder if any one of them has beat the record of Drake Casillas, who came back in 2019, 6 weeks after giving birth to Atlas.
I remember that. It was crazy. He was dressed in a little footy onesie.
And Drake Casillas, mind you, in her 18th season, she is superhuman.
She really is. And if you look at her, you would not know. Her body does not give the signs that she has been playing that long.
Someone was joking earlier, I think it was Lawrence Kuznetsky, going, You know, it still looks like she's in her 20s. This isn't fair.
It's true. It's true. You know, and she kind of is able to play and party that way as well.
April Munn tries to get the kick away. The umpire said she did, and it's play on towards the half-forward flank here for the Seattle Grizzlies. They're finally starting to get a bit of momentum, but they find themselves 32 points down on the Watch AFL scoreboard. Bo jumps in there, can't quite extract the football. Umpire blows the whistle again, and once more will call for a stoppage.
If you're Seattle, this is what you want. This is the position on the field you want, this stoppage.
The unfortunate thing is they're almost out of time. We're in the shadows of the full-time siren here on field 4. Here's the little chip kick there from Dickinson, and a mark is taken here. Margaret Leone just backing back to take that one.
You know, you look at like professional careers that some of these women have built for themselves. Margaret Leone is actually a physician's assistant. And I know at least at one point she was in the emergency room.
And you got to think some of the hours that they've got to do before backing up for a game.
Yes, absolutely.
And those crazy shifts as well. It's not easy if someone tells you, oh, you got to do a night shift, then shut up and play a game.
You know, but so many of the women and men of this league really impress me with what they accomplish on and off of the footy field, Peter.
As they kick it out towards the wing position on the broadcast side. Hamilton wanted to try and come out and meet it, but didn't pick up the football. Going in there is Gallard again. Now putting it in the Brett Brower direction. Comes out to meet the football 40 metres out from goal. Want to get the hand pass to Pandini-Win. Missed her. Lalani Silvio has already kicked 2. Is going to swing around and might have a crack at a third. How's this going to bounce for Silvio? 2 bounces, 3 bounces. It holds up in the goal square. Doesn't make the distance. Now the kick back out. Trying to maybe get a little tug of the jumper there on Gallard. The umpire said no. It was play on. Gallagher now squeezes in there for a kick. Through the hands there of Pandini-Win, who couldn't hold on to it. Silvio goes to lay the tackle on Hamilton. Ball popped out. Silvio again for another opportunity. Hamilton has a crack at her. Silvio swings around on the right boot. Wants to square it up in the Brett Brower direction. Coming through was Blecker, who put boot to ball. Defence holding up strong again for the Grizzlies as they swing it around and try and find the agency here of Odell. Missed her. Coming through but couldn't quite hang on to the football is Coleraine. Elise Gallagher picks it up again. Swings it around on the right boot. Ball goes towards true centre half forward. Got punched away from Blecker on that occasion. Good follow-up tackle. Blecker goes in for a second crack at it. Moy versus Munn. Moy holds her feet. Munn hits the ground. Now across to Margaret Leone, who got put into the turf but managed to get her kick away in the nick of time. Now a heavy traffic jam of players here between centre and centre half forward for the Iron Maidens. Amelia Carr wants to get in there for the football. She goes to ground, can't get it out. Now Margaret Leone goes straight down the guts. Kicks it in the Silvio direction. Fell short of her. Going with them at the same time as Alcosa, who knocked it out. Now comes through Carr again. She holds up Blecker. Blecker manages to get rid of her. Then she gets put into the turf for her trouble. Thanks for coming. Munn gets buried into the ground. Now the hurry kick away by the Grizzlies. Goes out towards the wing position on the tournament central side of the ground. Plenty of numbers back there once again for the San Francisco Iron Maidens as Coleraine, who did the clean-up work. The kick now is going to be intercepted by Hamilton. Should have swallowed that. She dropped it, had to go back in for a second effort while under pressure from Castillo. Hand pass across to Bo now for Seattle. Bo moves the football at a quick speed. Elise Gallagher parked herself underneath it. The ball did a very nasty bounce. And now got the hand pass across to Coleraine. Coleraine now manages to spot up a target. This is Castillo, and she marks it at 55 metres out. And Lizzie Sawyer, I can finally take a breath.
Peter, I cannot believe the efforts of Seattle's back line right now. Something to be said about the time that they had to just catch their breath while it was down in their forward line. They are fighting.
Gallard tried to go to Bauer, but it was cut off in the end by Stephanie Peterson. And Peterson now will move the football out towards the back pocket on the Watch AFL scoreboard side of the ground. Amelia Carr doing the shepherding work there. Back to Bo. Bo now kicks it long out of defence and high. Castillo has outmarked her own teammate there in Gallard. And Castillo has the football 55 metres out from home. Her side 5-3-33, leading Seattle 1 behind in this Women's Division 1 semi-final. They'll be back again at 3 p.m. to take on the Minnesota Freeze on Coopers Field for the grand final. So remember, click on the Coopers Field stream on USAFL.com at 3 p.m. for that grand final. Or back here at 2 p.m. on Field 4, we'll have the Women's Division 2 grand final between Centennial Tigers and the Texas Heat. Here's the long kick up the line. Just dropping the mark there was Gallard. He went with a hand pass back to Margaret Leone. Got the advantage pain. Leone went up the line. Oh, great mark by Castillo, who had front position on that occasion against Corey Howe. Castillo with the football. She's shocked, almost say, is the ball mine? Yes, you marked it. You can have a kick. As the hooter sounds, and that is full time here at Field 4 in the Women's Division 1 semi-final. And Lizzie Sawyer, the San Francisco Iron Maidens, have the opportunity in a couple of hours' time to win their 6th national championship in a row and be what we never thought could happen, a team catch the record set by the Denver Bulldogs.
Yes, absolutely. You have to ask yourself, if you're the coach for Minnesota Freeze, Fish, you have to ask, what are you telling your women right now? What are you getting around and guiding them on? Are you looking to stay with your brand? Are you changing anything? Are you watching this game and making note of certain things?
Taking out from the loss for the Seattle Grizzlies, yes, frustrating. You look at the scoreboard, you only kick one behind, you lost by 32 points. But when you break it down, they didn't get blown out in the second half. If you come back and watch the vision and watch the tape, and that's what I hope that the coach does, and while they try and digest that during the off-season, they say, yeah, okay, look, it was a horrible first half, but we actually stuck it to them in the second half. Yeah. And maybe that's also a thing for Minnesota to point out, to say, don't pay attention to the first half. Pay attention to what happened in the second half.
Yeah, and you have to ask yourself, are the Iron Maidens getting tired? Is it accumulation of the entire weekend starting to catch up to them? Or what was different in that second half for Seattle, and how does Minnesota harness their version of that?
Well, as we said, some players were rested and on the bench for San Francisco as they try and manage their squad coming into the grand final. But it's not to take anything away from Seattle's effort. Probably the little frustrating thing from them was, as you mentioned, they had the ball down there in the forward half. You would have hoped that they maybe could have added perhaps 2 goals to the scorecard.
Yeah, absolutely. You look at that as a coach for Seattle's standpoint, you look at that for the next year and you say, how can we transition even that behind? How do we turn that into a goal? What do we do in our off season and the beginnings of our season that switches that over so we don't get those behind so much anymore? We look at more of true kicks in any situation.
So we might take this opportunity to wrap things up here at Field 4 for the United States Australian Football League National Championships. The time is just coming on to 1 o'clock. We'll have on this field because I see New York warming up here. I believe we're due on this field to have the men's Division 4 grand final. I know Des Moines is definitely one of those sides. I haven't been following the men's competition as closely as I should. I know you have for Wasatch and how they've been going. But on the women's side, at 2 o'clock, we have the D2 grand final between Texas Heat and the Centennial Tigers. 2 p.m. on this stream, on this field in 1 hour's time. I'll be back to call that one. And then, of course, I'll be rushing across to Field 3. Lizzie, Cooper's Field, the big spotlight, the speakers going out to the beer tent, the Women's Division 1 Grand Final, San Francisco and Minnesota. Can Minnesota, your old club, do it? Can they find a way to cause the boil over of the tournament?
Well, and you hope so. I mean, truthfully, my heart is with Minnesota always, but you want to see fresh blood in there, getting to lift and hoist that trophy at the end of the weekend.
Thank you very much for your company, and we look forward to catching up with you throughout the rest of the tournament here at Silver Lake Sports Complex. And if we don't, I'll see you in Florida next year.
Thank you for having me, Peter.
Lizzie Sawyer from the Wasatch War Goals joining us. We'll be back shortly on USAFL.com with Brian Barish and the men's Division 4 Grand Final here on Field 4.